Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. So, I got back from vacation, a nice, long, completely checked out, restful, fun vacation. And I feel like a new person, which I needed. This is good because I was feeling a lot of the collective energy that I'm sure you're all feeling or have felt at some point. There's so much happening and a lot of people at a lot of different stages, a lot of emotions, a lot of energy. There was the shedding of the snake year, moving into this fire horse energy. The solar eclipse, we're like in eclipse season now, and then you have everyone talking about retrograde and all that stuff. Bottom line is, I just feel like there's a lot of things swirling around. And I was picking up on that really in like January. It was like I was feeling so good. And then all of a sudden, just feeling very overwhelmed, very anxious, kind of like I used to get in my day job. And I've talked about this before, how this was a pattern that's just repeated throughout my life where I push myself and I push myself. And I'm very forward thinking. I'm very much an action taker, but it can lead to my own detriment because I get myself in a position where I just push, push, push. And if I don't listen to myself when my intuition is saying slow down, take a break, step away, I reach burnout. And what's interesting is I was able to catch it, so that's good. I'm making progress here. I'm breaking the pattern. I was able to catch it and slow down. But what's so interesting is I saw other people in my world, I guess my online world, I would say, that fell apart, that like were like burning their businesses to the ground. Not literally, you know what I mean? Just kind of getting to that point of burnout where they just want to like stop their business, stop everything. And I think there was a lot of collective energy that we were all picking up on and a lot of like releasing and realigning. And that's something that I think is really important to touch on because with my business, for example, with Law of Attraction Tribe, where it started and where it is now is very different. You know, I started very much talking about positivity and the law of attraction. Obviously, it's in the name. But as you know, I've kind of shifted into getting really into quantum physics, the science of all of this, consciousness, kind of the bigger picture, and AI and technology as well, because I think it's all part of this story of where we're headed and that it's okay to shift. And that's what I think I'm seeing people struggle with. And of course, I'm just kind of, this is my observation, but seeing other people in the manifestation space specifically getting to that point where like maybe they needed a shift and needed to realign and needed to slow down, but they didn't. And it resulted in kind of a breakdown and stepping away from everything and just deciding to like walk away from it all. And so I wanted to bring it up today because I think that this is something that we're all going through. And like I said, with my life, I've been through it multiple times. And when you recognize the pattern and you recognize what to look out for, what your intuition is telling you, you can interrupt that pattern and you can choose differently. And what I've come to realize is when you're feeling those quote unquote negative feelings, I don't even want to call them negative feelings anymore because what the way that I look at them is it's all just data, it's feedback on our life. And so if something doesn't feel good, whether that's in the form of anger, resentment, anxiety, stress, just feeling like really overwhelmed, that's telling you that something is out of alignment in your life. And you can kind of backpedal. Like you can say, okay, something's out of alignment. What is the source of this feeling? Like, what is making me feel this way? What doesn't feel quite right? And is there something that I can do to adjust it? Now, a lot of times, in order to have that view, that bird's eye view, you have to get out of your head and clear the mental clutter. And this is the part that I think business owners, especially people that are very action driven or forward thinkers, really struggle with. And I struggled with this forever, is in order to get that bird's eye view and really understand what's coming through and to get a real clear message from your intuition, from source, however you want to look at it, from your subconscious, you have to take time. You have to create time and space for that. You have to slow down. And the reason why slowing down feels so uncomfortable is because our entire lives have been conditioned around not slowing down. Like we've been given the opposite message that if you rest, you're lazy. If you slow down, you're not motivated. You don't have direction. All of these negative connotations around it. Whether it was intentional or not is besides the point. The point is, if you live in this society, like in this world, you've had that programming all throughout your schooling, your secondary schooling, your work environment, the corporate culture, and it's so programmed that it makes us feel very uncomfortable. Like if we, God forbid, we take a vacation and we don't post on social media, we don't check our emails, everything's going to fall apart. Or, we're just going to spiral and like become this useless loser. And I'm just saying that because like this is literally the tricks that my mind plays on me. And the exact opposite, though, is true. I remember way back when, and this was when I like first launched the app, and I was talking to this woman who was a very, very successful realtor. And she was like, I work so hard and I am good at what I do. And yet, when I go on vacation, all like so much will happen in my business, like good things. And I'm like, yeah, it's the opposite. It's your energy. Your energy, you need to have these breaks. And again, if you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, think of that as your intuition, like tapping you on the shoulder and being like, hey, your energy is off. And if you don't readjust this energy, it's going to manifest more chaos, overwhelm, whatever it is that you're feeling. And so we really have to tune into that. And the way, not the only way, but like pretty much like there's so many different practices out there and methods and everything you can think of, different techniques. But I am telling you, this for years, I have been deep diving into this. The best way to clearly listen to your intuition. And when I say listen to your intuition, I mean get clarity, have your questions answered, know with certainty what it is you want, where you're headed, why patterns keep playing out. What should I do? What's the next step? I'm so confused. I just need some direction. All of that can be given to you via your intuition. But in order to listen to it, you have to quiet down the noise of your logical mind and your subconscious as well. And so we have all of these thoughts running in our mind all the time. It's all this mental clutter. And then in our real life, we have all of these distractions that it's almost impossible to clear it. It feels impossible to clear it and to slow down. When I was like, after I've left the 9 to 5, I look back and I'm like, I realize why I was so asleep and unaware of so much that's happening because I was so busy. I didn't have time. And then when I would get off of work, I'm busy with my, duties as like a mom and like getting groceries and all the things that we just go through in life. And then by the end of that, you're so exhausted that you don't really have time to just slow down and reflect and hear these messages. And so you have to get intentional and make time for that. So that's what I did. I again, like I did this a couple years ago, put live calls and like things that were taking up time or energy from a standpoint of someone that's like more introverted. I tried to clear my schedule as much as possible, and I got an Airbnb in a place that I have been called to go to for so long, meaning like I'll see it on social media, on Pinterest. I hear people talk about it and forever like I'm like I should go to this place. And finally, I just booked the trip and went and cleared my calendar. And the way that I did it is kind of like easy going. Like if I want to check my email or post something on social media, great. Like if that feels like something I want to do, cool. If not, I'm not doing it. Like there's nothing planned. I'm going to enjoy this time and just listen to my intuition and whatever I feel like doing. If I want to sleep in, I'm going to sleep in. If I'm going to go sit at the beach all day, I'm going to go sit at the beach all day. So anyhow, I book this Airbnb. We get there, and I remember we got there like later in the day. It was like in the evening. So we like ate, went, unpacked, kind of went to bed. And the next morning, I get up, get my coffee. I'm like, oh, let's go see how the weather is. And I walk outside on this balcony. And all of a sudden, I was like, holy shit. This vision, I had a dream about this years ago. This exact everything, exactly as it was in this place. I had a dream of it before we ever even moved to Florida. I remember so vividly this dream. I was living in Florida in my dream. Like I knew I was living in Florida. I woke up, I go outside on this balcony and it's sunny and there's palm trees and I'm high up so I can see like the whole town and there's people walking around and I look down and like I kind of like nod at the people below and someone nods back. Literally, this is what happened. And this was like the exact vision that I had in my dream back then playing out. And in my dream, I remember looking around and thinking like it's so beautiful here and knowing, even though I couldn't see it, I knew just on the other side of that building is the beach, and I can walk there if I want. In fact, I can walk anywhere I want to go in town. So that was my dream. And then I don't remember after that. I probably woke up. But I had that dream before we moved to Florida. And I remember when we moved to Florida, that's what I had in mind. I'm like, that's where we're going to live. And it got really frustrating because I was looking for places that looked like that vision and it just wasn't happening. And we ended up moving somewhere where it's not really that kind of a setup at all. And it always kind of confused me because I'm like, that dream was just, it was so vivid, almost like a memory. And so here we are at this Airbnb, and this was the place. Like this was what I dreamed about. And so it's been on my mind. Like it gave me so much to think about during this trip because I don't know if you remember, if you listened to the episode a few months back where Teresa Chung was on, and she was talking about dreams. And she was saying how our dreams, right? They're connected to our subconscious, but just like consciousness in general. And it's not bound by time and space. So it can flow backwards and forwards. So you can have dreams about things that played out that day, things in the past, but also about things in the future. And so I asked her, I was like, it's kind of like time travel in a way, in the astral realm. And she was like, yeah, like you can get clues as to where you're going. And I just can't help but think that somehow this was that, like pulling this memory of this amazing time and giving me like a preview of it. Like everything's going to be okay and like look at how beautiful this is. And I think maybe the reason that memory came through and has stuck with me for so long is because it was an incredible trip. And it was that place where we all looked at each other. Like my husband was there, my kids were there, and we're like, this needs to be an annual trip. Like we need to go here every year. It's just a magical place. It's definitely somewhere that I think I'm just gonna go every year, like forever. Like I'll bring my grandkids there someday. And I thought that was so interesting and so cool. And when I say like I had a dream about it, like I am not kidding you. It's so detailed that it's like it wasn't a dream. It's like I was getting a preview of this place, which probably sounds a little crazy, I know, but if you're listening to this podcast, you probably get it at the same time. And ever since I had that episode with Teresa Chung, I've been documenting my dreams, and there are patterns that play out. And so now, if I have a dream like that, I don't just automatically assume like, hey, this is a preview, like it's a premonition, this is gonna play out in your life. But sometimes it is comforting to know, like, hey, everything's gonna be okay. Like it looks like things are good. And if I have a bad dream, I don't just automatically assume like, oh my gosh, that's gonna happen. And so when you start documenting your dreams, you can kind of see like the themes of like when you know what? I watched a Netflix series during this time when I kept having these scary dreams. And that Netflix series sure looks like a parallel to a lot of the things I was doing. So that kind of thing. But also, I think it's fun to kind of look back and see that there are different dreams that have kind of played out. So anyhow, that was just like a side story. I feel like I went down a little bit of a tangent there, but moral of that is you should track your dreams. It's really interesting what plays out. But again, like during this time, this was on 30A, by the way, because I know people are going to ask me, like, where the hell was this place? They call it 30A. And the reason they call it 30A is that is the name of the road that connects all of these beach towns. So we stayed in Rosemary Beach, which is the first town, and then there's Alice Beach and a few others, and like Seaside. And Seaside is where they filmed the Truman Show. So if you've ever seen the Truman Show, you know it's like the most beautiful, quaint, like perfect town. That's literally what this town looks like. And so what's cool about it is it's all of these small towns, but they've never brought in all the commercial like chain restaurants and stuff like so many other towns do. So it was so many local businesses and local places, and everywhere in Rosemary Beach where we stayed, we could walk. If we wanted to go to the beach, to the pool, to a restaurant, to shop, like everything was in walking distance. And then each day we would drive and explore another beach town. Like we went to Alice Beach, which that's the place that looks like Greece, where all the buildings are white and it's really gorgeous. Rosemary Beach looks like Europe. Cobblestone, just beautiful, beautiful architecture. Seaside is all the pastel color beach houses, very like flip-flop feeling, very like vacation-y type feeling, super cute. So anyhow, it feels like a magical place. Like it feels like you're in a movie, like the Truman Show, but like in a positive way. So anyhow, while we were there, I stepped back, but I had already stepped back. If you guys follow me on social media, you're probably like, where the hell have you been? Because I've barely been posting. And pretty much that's been my rule is if I feel like posting, if I'm like, oh, I should post this, I do. And if I don't, I don't. And I've been really not consuming. Occasionally I'll like look at the first few things in my feed, but I'm just taking a step away from it. And in January, when I was getting all that like anxious feeling, social media was like revolting to me. Like I cannot explain it, but I was like, it pains me to go on there and I just don't want to be anywhere near it. And so I barely posted at all during that time. And I think I just could kind of sense where it was going because now you have all of this stuff coming out with the Epstein files and, just everything. Like there's so freaking much going on right now. All of which, by the way, I already knew. Like I've been watching this stuff for years. I kind of picked up on these patterns and knew all the like conspiracy theories that are now they're out there. Like the craziest of the craziest conspiracy theory was proven true, Here you go. Like here's all the documentation. So it's not that it was a shock to me, but I think it was a shock to a lot of people. And just the energy is so dark. And I think I was picking up on a lot of rage. Like everyone's just pissed off. And that's kind of the stages when you start to wake up to a lot of these things and pay attention, there's that shock and horror that you experience in the beginning where you're just like completely like, what the hell? And it makes you question everything. And then you get to the point where there's like rage and anger and you want to shout it from the rooftops. You want everyone to know, like, and you want to fix it. You want to make a difference. And then there's the phase where you just want to like get a farm and be self-sustainable and move away from everything and just go in your own like inner world. And you kind of realize that you were playing into this dark energy and like playing into this kind of like movie production that's going on in our world. And so that's where I'm at. I'm kind of at that last phase where I don't really care to look into the details or anything because I've seen a lot of it and it's very dark. And so I'm saying all that to say you have to really trust what's coming through. And some of the posts are so good at reeling you in, you're being reeled in with those reels. It really piques curiosity, but trust your intuition, your gut feeling, and some stuff people kind of need to see and need to have that awareness. But try not to go too deep or let it drag you down because it's very, very dark and it's very easy to get sucked in and to feel just complete despair on what's happening and what has been happening right under our noses for so long. I know in the manifestation space, spirituality space, everyone's talking about Deepak Chopra because he was in the Epstein files a lot. Like there's so many emails. He was very close with Epstein, which I didn't know. I think a lot of people didn't know. And here's someone who was so highly regarded and he was considered like a spiritual guru and he has dozens of books and has been on every major network and a household name that everyone trusted. He's supposed to be this spiritual person and then you see just all this dark stuff and it makes you question everything. And all I can say is I think we have to look at this and realize that anyone that you're putting on a pedestal and you think I have to trust them above what's going on within me. I think this is a wake up call that we have to stop doing that and glamorizing, these quote unquote gurus and know that we are connected. Like Mark Gober was talking about when he was on the podcast last week, our consciousness, we're all connected to this consciousness and can tap into it. How do we do that? By getting out of our mental clutter, the filter to consciousness. And knowing that we can trust ourselves, we can trust our intuition and what's coming through. And we need to trust that more than we trust any guru or expert out there. And I think that that's a lesson that's being played out right now. You look at, just a lot of government programs like the FDA or the American Medical Association or, any of these places that were blindly trusted and come to find out they're most of their donors where they get their money from is big food and big pharma. And now we find out there's at least 10,000 additives in our food that we have no idea what they are or if they're safe because they've never been studied. It was like a good faith system where a company could just say like, yeah, we think it's safe. And it was allowed. So I think it's just a wake up call that we really need to get back to trusting ourselves, listening to our intuition, and doing our own, research on things so we can come to our own conclusion instead of what somebody else tells us to believe. And I think when it comes to social media, media in general, if it feels really dark and it's pulling you down, take a break from it. Just like I was saying, slow down, take a break from work or from your business, go on a vacation. The same goes for social media because if it's recalibrating your energy to just focus on fear or anger or anxiety, it's time to take a break from it. And I think we all need to really pay close attention to that. And overall, what I would say is the best way for you to slow down, listen to your intuition, and get clarity on everything is go outside in nature. Okay. Like we talk about meditation and sound healing and nervous system work, and all those things are great. But it really can be as simple as getting outside. I think nature is a great like stabilizer, and it's going to automatically, without you having to do anything, it's going to help you feel more balanced and grounded. And it's going to help you clear your mental clutter. And it's going to help you slow down and it's going to help you go within and reconnect to that inner universal place of good, like Richard Dotts talks about. And so I think now more than ever, we need that. We need to take a break and just get outside and breathe. And so anytime you're feeling overwhelmed, super confused, you're not clear, you're feeling anger or anxiousness or whatever, go outside, go for a walk, go put your feet in grass, like whatever you need to do. And within minutes, you'll feel more clear-headed and you'll kind of know the direction you need to head. You'll get that intuitive hit for whatever it is. So it's like such a simple message. And I know I've talked about it before, but I feel like we can't hear it enough. Slow down, get outside, and go within. Trust yourself. Like we all could use a break from the craziness and the dark energy and all the distractions of social media right now. And it doesn't necessarily have to be going on vacation, going far away. Like you could go in your backyard, go walk around your neighborhood. But it can be that simple. And I think if we all did that, the vibration of the planet, you would feel like you're taking a big breath out, like you're releasing and just like, if everyone just did this and slowed down and take a beat. So that's my, I guess, advice for right now, if you're feeling that way. And next week, I'm going to have Stephanie Banks on the podcast. And we talk a little bit more about this, but she's an intuitive channeler, and it's a really good episode. And we get into more of this. So I think it's just very timely with everything going on in the world. And don't feel like you're going crazy. You're probably just picking up on all this collective energy and just go outside. Go outside, I promise. Like after a few minutes, you will feel better. You might not feel perfect. It's not going to cure everything, but you will feel better. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel more refreshed, more clear. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you back here in the next episode.